Lifelight at the RAF Security and Fire School.
Where are they based?
We're in Anderley, and we run the breeding and development program, which is basically like primary school and high school before the dogs go on to be MWDs.
Okay. And what stage are these gorgeous dogs at?
Right now, I would probably call this kindy.
This is kindy.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a dog lover. What breed are these dogs, Sarah?
This is the Belgian Malinois.
Belgian Malinois, okay. And what is it about these dogs that make them so suited to be trained as Air Force working dogs?
Well, as you can see from Apollo and Avalon here, they're extremely intelligent. They're also extremely active, agile, and they've got great health and physical attributes.
Oh, okay, wonderful. Well, look, we believe we have the Spitfires about to take off, but they're barely stealing the stage from these one kilometres. Sarah, thank you so much for showing us such a different
So we have the Spitfire and the Mustang turning to the most airport.
Lightning's about to take off from the right. It's going to be very loud. One of them is at any rate. You will see how they interact, how one platform supports the other. And it's an eye-opening exercise to see how interoperability and the dependency that one platform has on another. And it's no such thing as, let's say, Spitfire going out and winning the Battle of Britain all its own. It is one part of a chain of assets that is part of our warfighting capability.
Yes, and it goes for about 40 minutes. I'm going to step out so that the ADF showcase commentators can come on. I'll leave you with it, Tony.
Thank you, Angela Stevenson. Joining me back in the commentary booth is Flight Lieutenant Greg Hinsey and Drew Outsider. El Presidente, Neil Whitehead. I keep hearing the rest of Good Money Cove. What are we seeing here, Hinsey? It's something of an elephant walk, I guess you could call it.
Kind of, in a way. We've seen two of our top-range fighters for the Royal Australian Air Force. Of course, the F-35A Lightning II and the FA-18F Super Hornet at one squadron. And while we get underway here with the Australian Defence Force showcase today, we also have to say happy birthday to the commanding officer of one squadron who's celebrating a birthday today, Wing Commander Trent Baldry. So he's celebrating a birthday. So got to get that in early before I get in trouble for doing that Tom Trench himself.
Well, that is a very prestigious posting in the Royal Australian Air Force. There are a few squadrons as storied as number one squadron. Its service in World War II was exceptional, of course, as we know, and a long-time operator of the F-111. That's a great posting to have.
Absolutely. No, look, I've known Trent since we were teenagers. We were cadets together at number 8 Flight QATC in Queensland at RAF Base Amberley, and now he is the commanding officer of number 1 squadron based at RAF Base Amberley. And it's fantastic to see.
Guy Burke was one of those who was then anointed. You are now a flight lieutenant, and welcome to the reserves.
Now, run us through the importance of the 100 Squadron, because obviously based not just at Point Cook, but Temora as well.
That's right. So we've got the two fleets, the old RAF Museum fleet that 100 Squadron was reformed in 2021 to operate, as well as then the collection donated from the museum up at Temora, which is a larger collection.
Hornet, and they're about to take off, so it is going to get very loud during this Australian Defence Force showcase, so please make sure you've got hearing protection, especially for the kids.
You get the opportunity. It's incredible. We're talking an 80 years since these aircraft were used to the service. The sound, the smell.
I think that's the key to me is when I first heard that Spitfire, I was on a craft and was happy with that 10 metres from the aircraft. classic moment, which is going to be something you've never seen before, particularly at an Australian International Air Show here at Avalon. We're going to see a mixed formation, but keep an eye out. And here out from your left, here comes the F-35A Lightning II.
Before
they come on the right. With the F-35A Lightning II and the FA-18F Super Hornet, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a nice camera shot here from the front with your mixed formation. The Spitfire and Mustang coming in for another pass. It's another great opportunity to get your cameras out. Don't forget to share those because I know number 100 Squadron would love to see your photos.
we had one mission which lasted 17.1 hours, which is crazy.
Do you get to take a cushion with you?
It does get very uncomfortable, and I think just about everybody after about 14 hours, because I did a 16.3 hour mission, which is like flying from Sydney almost to France. You know, it's that length of time. Whereas if you're in a passenger jet, no real problem, you can sleep.
Craft coming to land, so grab a couple of photos of this. You won't see this too often flying around. And of course the Australian Defence Force is absolutely proud to present this showcase here for you today, showcasing our capabilities, obviously showing number 100 Squadron, which is our heritage fleet of aircraft, everything from World War I aircraft right through.
The big 20mm cannon and the four-bladed prop, which is unlike the version from in the Battle of Britain, which had four 303 Browning machine guns. So it's a later model, but
There we go with a free
in the airspace. The P-8 side can fly as low as 100 feet over the ocean. We wouldn't normally see them over land. And of course, the Seahawk Romeo often operates off the back of the ship.
surface search and rescue helicopter. It really is a true multi-role helicopter with what it can do off the back of a Navy ship. And we've seen a lot of these in action, particularly during search and rescues of late, where we had a P8 beside him coming in, and we had a lift landing man who was in I think a small boat off of Queensland, and he had to be brought in before tropical cyclone Alfred that of course went through recently. And that was all done by our coalition efforts of the Air Force and Navy working closely together.
You can see with the doors open inside. And that was just simulation dropping one of the weapons. Integration, we took care of the and they were really enamored by the fact that they can work closely with other aircraft. They have good situation awareness, basically, so it's not like they're working on their own. Whether working off a ship or working with a Poseidon or an E7 or any other tool, so in that Link 16 network we'll be able to see the picture that we produce.
The great thing about the MH60 here is Romeo is we have 24 of these and another 12 ordered. We should expect that delivery a little later on this year and into next year as well. So we're getting a few more of these amazing next generation helicopters.
You see the MH60 do the spiral intending, which is quite a difficult maneuver, I'm told.
Now, one of our Australian Defence Force pilots learned to fly at his obviously the US will part of the Central Flying School. He was structured within the Air Force. They've also trained our Australian Defence Force pilots, including Army and Navy aviators as well, including those guys you'll see in the aircraft here today.
All the holes on the side of the Romeo, you see a whole bunch of circles there. I assume they're the same holes?
I shouldn't say. Well, now you've asked the question, we will check that out.
All right, please, get back to it.
And sometimes you can see on weather radar when has been disturbed, because sometimes it'll actually show up and look like rain when they're not turning. So yeah, just a little often weather base, and there are thousands of people who go out to RAF Assembly every day to keep that operational, and just it is our biggest base in Australia, and I tell you what, working there is an absolute privilege. So on your right, you'll see the KC-30 coming through in a simulated fuel dispense with two F-35s and a Super Hornet. At RAF Base Amberley. This is also an incredible aircraft to fly in. And we should see all types of aircraft from AMG here today. You should see the C-27J Spartan, the C-130J Hercules, and the C-17
enormous C-17 Globemaster.
So So this aircraft is quite capable of landing on an unprepared strip, so it can land on grass. And what it's doing now is being taken on site. Now that we do some of our
Today, the C-27 is flown by Gareth Gordon, aka Gordo, who graduated pilot's course in 2006. He flew the Caribou until 2009. He was roulette 7 for several seasons and then instructed on the PC-9, amassing about 1,500 hours. He's flown the Spartan since 2014 and became one of the first instructors on type.
Now you're going to see some of our security forces running out the back, off the back ramp of the C.
That's a dumb joke, is that right?
No bad joking today. So if you're right, we're going to see some of our fast jets coming through to protect the airfield as well. Whilst the C-27J Spartan is on the ground. You see the ramp has gone up there again, and again, do a fairly tactical short takeoff. These are remarkable aircraft to fly on, particularly when they do come into
That's to our adversary, and we also are working in close proximity with the ground forces to provide protection for them as well. So,
and this is where that role of the mission commander really comes into his own, right?
absolutely it does, yeah.
Absolutely, and right now they would be controlling the C-130J Hercules, which is flying over to do a circle before it comes into land. So nice to see the
So notice just on the far side of the runway there's some smoke, which presumably is there to identify where the Johnny 130 is going to land. And at the same time, the C-27 Spartan departs. As you said, C-27s most notably conducted almost continuous deployments in the Southwest Pacific, including PNG and Fiji.
So very shortly we'll see some of our FA-18F Super Hornets and F-35A Lightning IIs come through with that overwatch. And normally in this battle space, we would, as we've been saying, Neil, you would be in an E-7 wedge-tail right over the top, keeping an eye on things, making sure that the battle space is safe.
We are providing that coordination between all the different assets. So we follow a thing called an air task order and use that and use flexibility to make sure that everything works as it should do.
And you'll see our F-35A Lightning IIs coming through from the right.
The Kiwis currently have a brand new version of the Hercules. Are they
very new, got that new car smell still inside. You go in for a look. And our mates from obviously the New Zealand Defence Force, is great to have them here today. And of course our Papua New Guinean mates as well.
Please go and see them. They're terrific.
And they're right next to the C-27J Spartan. So you can go and have a look through that as well. And also on display is our C-17 Globemaster 3. So you can go up for a look inside the back there and just see how big that aircraft actually is. So on your right, we've got the C-130J Hercules coming into land and with more security forces which will operate and come out of the back of the aircraft.
So the guys that are already on the ground, what have they done? They've just effectively secured an airfield?
That's right. So basically they've come, this is one security forces squadron, so their role is to secure an airfield to make it safe for aircraft to land. With more overwatch there from our fast jets coming in from the rear of the C-130J Hercules as it comes into land.
So we'd be in contact with both the aircraft and the ground forces on the ground. We'd be building that picture in consultation with the E-7, with the mission commander, as you spoke about before, and we really just be trying to maintain
Super Hornet with a 2C crew, so pilot, maintaining safety of flight, deconfliction and dealing with any air adversaries. The weapons systems officer in the back seat is the primary for communications with the ground forces, with other aircraft, and actually getting all of that information, programming the weapons and systems, and then we can have a very efficient and short time to weapons impact as well.
Do you think it's better working with two people in the aircraft or a single-seater?
Yeah, I personally do, so I'm biased because I fly the Super Hornet and I fly with weapons systems officers, but we often say in the community 1 + 1 = 3, just because we have two brains in the cockpit and we can quite often separate those cockpits and achieve multiple aspects at once before coming back together, syncing up and then achieving the mission as one aircraft, if that makes sense.
Now we have seen the ramp come down on the C-130J Hercules. Now comes number 2 Security Forces Squadron, also to secure the airfield. So they're basically running by
Short, uncertain runways and airdrop cargo and parachutes by parachute.
Hercules, as a workhorse in defence forces around the world, over 50 years old. It's amazing to have this, still that airframe, that basic working airframe that still operates around the world now. And we're following more. The F-35A Lightning II is coming through again for So this is often what you see in the battle flight. So when you're sort of shadows happening right now, you're talking about how you're speaking with particularly the weapons systems officer is speaking with the ground forces. Well, what sort of chatter's happening?
Yeah, great question. So a lot of times we like to use the sterile environment so that any communication that is coming out is time critical and mission critical as well. So very little communication actually, and we have a lot of code words that we can use as well that mean different things, and we can talk about that in mission planning. So when we get to execution, it's a lot more seamless.
Now, if you squint very much to the north, you'll see Security Forces Squadron. So what we'll see is a short tactical takeoff from the C-130J Hercules after a pass overhead from the Globemaster.
This Globemaster has been Navy Squadron Leader Dirk Taylor. With him is Harrison Gray, who's been in defence for 13 years from Brisbane, and Corporal Dalton King, who enlisted 2 days prior to the RFAAF centenary, becoming Globemaster.
More overwatch happening right now from our FA-18 and our FD.
What do you make of that? A huge aircraft, low altitude, steep angle of bank.
Oh, it's absolutely incredible, and it's awesome that we can put it on display here at Avalon and really showcase the capability of all the aircraft, but in particular a few like the C-17.
When you go into this thing at the static display, it is just enormous. Massively capable aircraft. It's a part of the airlift fleet and capable of strategic delivery all over the world.
Here come the FA-18F Super Hornets again, followed by the C-17.
So right now would be a great time actually where the ground forces are being in contact with a weapons systems officer. They'd be talking them through, hey, we potentially have a target that we need to strike right now, and then be passing that that information through what we call a 9 line, so what the target is, what the description is, more importantly where the friendly forces are, reference that target, what type of weapon we need, what type of fusing, and what you'll see here very soon, ladies and gentlemen, is a simulated weapons pass from both the F-35s and the F-18F Super Hornet.
And there is some pyro ahead.
Get your cameras out for a photo on this.
And you'll have a JTAC here, won't you? Can you just tell us what they do, Clutch?
Yeah, so Joint Terminal Attack Controller, absolutely. So they'll be the primary person that is calling in that strike and is passing the information of where the friendly forces are. So a really, really critical person in this Overwatch mission where we are using all of that.
That ramp will come down fairly quickly as well, and you'll see a really fast move from our security forces back onto the aircraft to get into a safe environment so that they can take off.
And it's already reconfiguring for takeoff, so you'll see that the flaps, which were providing a huge amount of additional lift, and now are redeploying it into the wings. The spoilers on top of the wings will basically go back into the wing, and at the same time the cargo door is open.
Here we go for our first weapons pass. And it is very important as well.
You see the security forces redeploying to get back on the C-17. It's capable of carrying 102 troops or paratroopers, 36 litter and 54 ambulance patients. It carries 170,000 pounds of fuel or 18 pallets of cargo. It carries a tank as well, which is amazing.
And 2 Apaches. Now the great thing is all of these careers are available to anyone who'd be interested in joining the ADF. So just go to adfcareers.gov.au. We have Defence Force recruiting here as well. You can
yes, boys.
One of our security personnel that just ran on board the aircraft, right through to aircrew like that. Everyone starts somewhere, don't they, mate?
Absolutely they do, and I remember exactly that feeling of being a kid here in the crowd watching all the displays, and then feels like I blinked and I'm right here right now.
So growing up, you watched obviously Riverfire in Brisbane, you mentioned that earlier, and you got to fly that last year.
Yeah, I sure did. It was a once in a lifetime opportunity, but definitely that childhood dream that I had as a kid watching the display.
What do you see during that time?
Not a lot of buildings. Yeah, a lot of buildings, unfortunately, which is not something that we see quite often in the airspace or in a display like this. But you're very focused on every manoeuvre they got here.
How close are you to some of those buildings? Because the photography seems to compress it, but they're amazing images. How close are you?
Yeah, so our minimum distance that we have is we need to be outside of 250 feet, so less than 100 meters from the buildings, which is quite close, but it takes a lot of preparation and planning and simulator events before we actually get authorized to go in and fly the display.
So you'll hear the engines spooling up in the C-78 now.
Considering the size of this aircraft, there are some issues very impressive.
There's a lot of power there.
as the C-17 Globemaster operated by 36 Squadron at Iraq Base Amberley. We will see a Pacific, basically a PACAF C-17 later on doing a display.
That is an American Air Force one based in Hawaii, and that is a very spirited display as well. Well, I think the good guys won.
I think the good guys did win.
That's always good.
And that brings out...
It could be one of either the Super Hornet or the Lightning II that's just broken.
Flown by Glib and Weapons Systems Officer of Bam Bam. Ladies and gentlemen, please give them a wave as they pitch into the socket.
To each individual pilot of the F-35, they have to be specially fitted for it. It's a very expensive bit of kit, but it does a great job, a very important job. All of the information, instead of being on a glass screen mounted at the front of the aircraft, it's projected on a glass screen just under the pilot's head. So have a look at that, and you can focus enough to see it. As that 2 OCU F-35 rolls out. There's some aerodynamic braking, we're keeping the nose up. It's a 77 Squadron aircraft, I believe. We'll be back shortly. So you actually get given like something to actually sort of, carry you through the application process, do you?
Yeah, that's correct. You sort of got a mentor on the way. So it's not really so people who are in uniform like myself to tell you about the different roles in the mission group, they can guide you through the process, what roles might be good to you, depending on your passionality, interest, practice, skills, qualifications, etc. And we're looking for new people, aren't you, young people? Yeah, definitely. We're looking for young people, seasoned pilots, 16 and a half years old, but we're also looking for older people as well. Some people who might want to consider a career change midway through their life.
Oh, yes.
Midway, yep, go on. Yeah. So I joined at 25 years old, which I'm really glad that I did it, and I'm glad that I did it then, because it really worked out in the whole scheme of things for my life.
That's wonderful. And what's you're in the Navy, aren't you?
Yes, correct.
And what's your career been like thus far, Jonty?
So